Hello everybody, the network Berg here. Hope you guys have been doing well. Let me just quickly see what's happening. It seems like my, my, my stream appears to be freaking out a bit. I'm not sure if this is on the right screen. Hang on a seckie. Because if I'm looking at OBS, it's looking like it's recording off of my secondary monitor, which is not correct. Let's quickly fix that up. Else, this is going to be a pretty trippy stream. There we go. That looks better. So, welcome to the Eve.NG lab, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. This is going to be a bit of a continuation of the last stream from last week, where we imported a Eve Linux host, like a prepared image already, onto Eve.NG, and we ran it and everything worked fine, although I was having some issues with Ansible. But I did a little bit of research as well, and it wasn't an issue with the Eve host itself. It's just actually the newest version of Ansible just doesn't create that directory with the default Ansible config file in the host file, so we'll just have to create those details ourselves. But as I promised, we will be just creating a new Linux host from scratch on Eve.NG, as if we're using a real Linux VM now, instead of this pre-configured VM that Eve so nicely prepared for us. Before I start with any of that, I just need to remove the test environment that I set up earlier. In this lab, we will be using Ubuntu version 21.04. You can download that from their site. So Ubuntu download, Ubuntu download 21.04. So it's their Hippo release thingy. Looks pretty cool. Here's suit Hippo. So all that I'm going to do is I'm going to download this Ubuntu 21.04, just the plain desktop. I'm not going to download the LTS version, even though you should be able to use this as well. This is more or less like for an actual like machine that you might want to put this on. I'm just going to use Ubuntu 21.04, the plain small default image. I've already downloaded this image. It's on my desktop already. I should have it in my downloads folder. So it's there, Ubuntu 21.04-desktop-AMD64, and I'm going to just import that into Eve. It is actually already in Eve. That's just what we're going to remove now. So what I'm just going to do is change my directory to etc unit add-ons. No, sorry, unit lab opt unit labs add-on kemu, and then in this directory I've actually got this Linux Ubuntu desktop 21.04. Let's just change directory into that as well. And then I want to see, I've got a virtua.qcow2, which is the actual drive that I created for it. And yeah, we're just going to be importing this. Let's go onto the Eve documentation just to make sure we're on the same page when we actually create the image. And this will be like popping a CD-ROM into Eve and just installing this from the very beginning. So it's pretty straightforward how to create own custom Linux image on Eve. So all that we're going to do is we're going to also, I've already got the directory. So if I navigate back, it is this Linux-Ubuntu-desktop-21.04, because that was the version that they used in this how-to guide. And all that I'm going to do now is I'm just going to remove this drive that I created, which will effectively kill the VM that I made before. So now it's just an empty directory. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use WinSCP and just connect onto Eve.NG quickly. So 192.168.74.128 with root Eve. And then I'm just going to navigate to that same directory. So opt unit lab add-ons kemu, and then it is this Linux-Ubuntu-desktop, and I'm just going to copy this ISO across. So it's just like a ISO that you can mount on whatever virtual CD-ROM, but we'll use Eve to mount it. And just for anybody that's new to the stream or to the channel, I mean, a lot of the streams I do stuff like MikroTik and show people routing, and it's awesome. I mean, it's a field that I'm pretty good at, but this video and the last video is more of me trying out something new. So this isn't me being the expert. This is me learning, and you're just watching me learn, kind of. So feel free to ask questions or help me out, point me out if you see me making a mistake, or help me improve. Like that's awesome, because this is me trying to get back into automation, because I was fiddling around with it early in 2020, and I guess I just kind of stopped, and now I'm a complete novice at it again. So we're just going to do this so that we can mount a Eve desktop or Ubuntu desktop, and then we're going to install some stuff like Ansible and Visual Studio Code onto it, so that we can try and fiddle around with some automation things, and just learn and grow as network engineers. Because it's fine to be good at MikroTik or some Cisco IOS or Juniper stuff or whatever, but it's also pretty darn important to upskill ourselves, especially with the new landscape that networking is moving into, with software-defined networking and people wanting network engineers that understand automation. If you're a network automation engineer, then I mean, I'm not going to say you got a job, definitely, but it definitely improves your odds. I mean, I've seen big companies like AWS looking specifically for automation engineers so that they can, set up automation on their infrastructure. All right, so here we've got the Ubuntu ISO now. So we'll just follow along with the guide, even though I kind of already know what to do. I'll just navigate onto here, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to basically change the name of that ISO to cd-rom.iso. So I'm already in the directory. I can see the file here, so I'll just mv the file to cd-rom.iso, and then I'll hit enter. And if I look at the directory now I've got a cd-rom.iso file. All right, cool. Next thing that we can do is we can actually create a drive for the cd-rom.iso. So this is this command here, opt kemu bin kemu-em image create. This will basically, that 30G stands for 30 gig. That's like a virtual drive that you're creating that will be 30 gig in size. I'll use the same size because I've got 100 gig on the Eve server, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem if I do assign 30 gig. So let's do that. So I've just copy pasted that really. And if I look at my directory structure, I can see I've got this virtua.qcow2 image here now. All right, cool. So what we're going to do now is we are going to start up the image. So I'm going to go back into the Eve topology, or EveNG. Let's close this lab. Let's just get out of this MikroTik stuff. Go into our TMB streams. Here was an Ansible for stream. So that Linux host was that Eve host that we used. So if I go into my nodes and I go to Linux, I should see there is the linux-ubuntu-desktop. That's the directory that I imported my cd-rom.iso into. So I'm just going to select that. And let's give it a nice desktop looking icon. That looks pretty cool. We can give it 4 gig RAM, 2 CPUs, that should be fine. We can increase that as needed, but I mean, that's pretty basic. If you look at the requirements, like that's kind of what they recommend anyway. So it's already on like what I'd suggest to allocate the resources at. All right, let's save this. And then I'm just going to connect the node to the internet, which is just my management NATed address. Let's start the node up. And I'll just connect onto the image. I mean, it is busy booting up. That's why that little stopwatch is there. Let's try and reconnect now. There we go. So now I've got the options to actually install Linux like it is an actual virtual install. So I'll install Ubuntu. Hit the enter key. And it will start the installation process like this was a Linux desktop that we're installing now. Like I had a physical, maybe a laptop, probably not a laptop, maybe more likely I'll put it on a actual just PC and install Linux on there. All right, so we'll just have to wait for the prompts to come up, and then we'll just have to follow along with the prompts. Even though I feel like this should have actually done something else already. There we go. A little bit slow. Let me just maximize this, and I might full screen so that we can have a nice looking follow along session. So let's see. Come on, little Ubuntu desktop. The purple's good. The purple means we've got it running. And this is actually running the OS already. The desktop is kind of already running. I could run this off of the CD-ROM. Just if I wanted to like test and see how it felt and whatnot. But you'll see now as we continue with the installation that we get the option to actually just install. But let's wait for this to happen. And this is nice because you can use this host for various things in your other Eve labs. I mean, you could bring this up to actually test connectivity on your little virtual lab that you created and see if stuff like your QoS is taking effect, or if you're routing the traffic correctly and if it can get to the network, or, you know, there's so much cool stuff that you can do by bringing in something like a Linux-based operating system into EVE-NG. So there we get try Ubuntu or install Ubuntu. So I'm going to install Ubuntu. I'm going to use English as my native language. And I'll use it as English US, even though I'm pretty sure we more or less use English UK. Actually, let's use English UK. And then I'll continue. And I'll just do the normal installation. So this will install a bunch of extra apps, which is nice. But you don't need to, you can do the minimal install as well, if you want to save on some space. Download updates while installing Ubuntu. This is actually pretty nice as well. So this will just grab some updates if you are connected to the internet. Let's continue with the setup. And I'm just going to use this erase disk and install Ubuntu. So all this is going to do is basically format that virtual drive that I've created in Eve. And it will install Ubuntu onto that virtual disk. So let's do the install now. And I am in, well, I'm not in Johannesburg. I'm actually in a pretty close city to it, but it's picked up my time zone there. So I'll just leave it as that. But if you don't have the node connected to the internet, it might just pick up the default and think you're in New York or something. So here we can put in your name. So I'll make this the network, Berg. Computer name, TMB, PC. Let's just make it TMB. Pick username, the network Berg. Password, TNB, shift123. That's pretty good. And we can log in automatically or require my password to log in. I'll just set it for login automatically. And there we go. Now this is almost like installing a Windows operating system. We're just waiting for the actual install to finish. So while that's happening, I might just look up at some things on Ansible in the background. And if there's anybody curious about anything and you want to chat, then we can have a chat as well, because this is a pretty good time since we're just really waiting for the files to copy across and actually install. What's nice is you can actually see what it's doing if you just click on this little arrow, and you can kind of see it's the same as when you install your Eve server actually, because Eve is also just some Linux based stuff. So you would have seen this like happening when you did that Eve install the first time around. All right, so while that's going on, let me, VLC on here, that's pretty nice. Oh, GIMP as well. Anyways, let's try and find some more info on Ansible. I'm probably just gonna jump into the Ansible docs anyways. And then from the Ansible documentation, I'm just going to find getting started. It's not so much the installation guide that I'm curious about. It is the Ansible.cfg file that I'm looking for. Because I know there is like a Git thingy for it. Installation, installing, confirming. There's a configuration file. I might just install pip and stuff like that as well and just try and do the install straight from pip. But here's an example of the config file. And this is kind of just like telling Ansible like a few specific details. Okay, cool. Might just grab this into a different screen because I want to just have a look at it. And I might just copy this onto like a Notepad+. Notepad++. There we go. There's the Ansible config. So I'll just probably add that straight into my own little config file as soon as we've got the server up and running. Let's see what it's doing. Still just installing. But it's gonna be, it shouldn't take too long. I mean, a few minutes. It's maybe like, I don't know, between 10, 20 minutes, depending on your internet speed and resources available to your actual host that you're bringing online. Okay. Let's check out this Ansible config file again. But all of the configuration for this appears to be hashed out as far as I can see. And when I'm talking about that, it's got this little like hash here. So the config isn't actually going to run. So I wonder if they did that on purpose with that example file. Else we'll just have to look at a few other documentations on Ansible or just some other blogs and see what's actually going on and how can we get Ansible to work properly. All right, so this is like jumping up and down between 4 and 6 and whatever minutes. Hello, tree. Okay, so I'm going to assume this is going to take between, like, let's say 5 minutes. So while that's happening, go get a cup of coffee, or let's look through some of the Ansible setup. If installing Ansible from Package Manager, should be present in etc Ansible. Available options. All right, let's have a look. See here. Ansible supports several sources for configuring its behavior, including an ini file named ansible.cfg, environment variables, command line option, playbook keywords, and variables. See controlling how Ansible behaves. Avoid security risks. It's strange to me that when I did install Ansible on another, because version 2.10 is the latest version, and I know the last time I installed Ansible it was on a Linux 18.04 OS, and it was running version 2.9 something. and that was when it was still like creating its own directory and stuff. And if I look at the documentation, it's kind of like telling me it should still be doing that. Anyways, let's have a look, see. It might take a little bit longer than when I initially did this, just due to the fact that we are, you know, we're installing or downloading updates in the background as well. So that could also maybe just push out this install time a little bit. Hey Colby, no problem, man. I love like sharing knowledge, and I love figuring stuff out. I mean, for me, there's nothing greater than, you know, trying to figure out a problem, and then once you actually get it solved, it's such a nice feeling, you know. It's I don't want to say like accomplishment, but it is an accomplishment. You figured it out. The light goes string, and you know, everything just starts to work, and I love that. I love seeing it in other people as well. It's like if you're also just passing some knowledge and somebody like gets it, that's always cool. All right. Yet we're still just waiting for this Linux OS. We might have some issues with the actual Ansible setup afterwards, but we'll figure everything out. I just first want to get this host up and running, because that was my promise in the last stream, was that we were going to import our own host. We're not going to use one of these configured Eve hosts that you download from their mega directory thing. This will be our little host that we configure as if it's ours, you know. It's fun. Alrighty, that looks pretty good. But it's gonna download a few more things. It's not like done in 10 seconds. There's still a lot happening in the background. Or maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Let's see what's happening. All right, well, this is just like actually downloaded everything. So again, this is kind of like the Eve setup. It's gonna now start pushing. You'll see there'll be like this dash stuff actually installing the program. And I'm also kind of curious to see everything that's being installed. That's why I've got this little box open here. Cool. Well, there it's doing something with the Firefox. Downloading language package. Nice, but that should be quick. I mean, I've got a decent-ish internet connection. It's good for where I'm at. It's like 100 meg down, 100 meg up fiber connection. So this should run relatively quickly. But my bottleneck might be my VMware player. Since that's what I'm using to virtualize my NICs and such. Even though they should still technically operate at 1 gig, I don't think I've ever seen getting 1 gig speed on it. Alright, while it downloads its language package and decides how it's going to display words on our screen, let me just continue with some of this Ansible stuff here. I might just go back onto this Git, and this is on my other screen, sorry. I just want to check Ansible Ubuntu 2104. Alright, we're not installing on server, we're installing on desktop. Let's check here. There's not that much info on 21.04. Got a bit of a stiff neck. Let's go back here. All right. Get in there. LibreOffice, the free office. But it runs on Linux, so that's nice. But I don't really need that. Maybe I should have done the minimal install. Well, there's something on Genius 3, but it's not relevant to this discussion, and they also don't have it working there. Install. Well, don't see anything specific that's different to any of the install that we've done. All right. Ooh. I really hope that doesn't take 12.5 minutes. There we go. At least it's jumping down. It's like back in the old days with Windows, and when you copy the file across, and then it would show like 3 years until your file is downloaded, and then it will jump to 10 minutes. That was always awesome. Hey, that looks good. But there's nothing special that I see on any of these blogs, but this is also just referencing Ansible version 2.9.6, which is the same version that I've, strangely enough, made a video about. And it doesn't appear to be that relevant now. So it's crazy how quickly things change in, well, it's a little bit over a year. So not that crazy, especially if it comes to stuff like the programming. Let's check out anything else that I can see. Nope. So all that we're going to do is we're going to go back to our user guide. We're going to do the installation guide. Selecting an Ansible version to install. Ansible package includes Ansible language, curated collections. Very interesting. I think I'm going to try and just install Ansible through pip. Let's see how far our Linux install is. It's nearly there. So close yet so far. Let me just get back onto the stream as well. And let's go back to our install. Because this should literally be the setup. You just do a sudo app update. You do the sudo app install software properties common, and then sudo add apt repository for the ppa ansible/ansible, and then you just do a sudo app install ansible. That should be it. But I know if I install it, I'll get Ansible, but I won't have that default directory with the files and such. Finding tarbles, adding Ansible command shell. No, Tremor. I haven't tried PNetLab. For me, it's a bit of a gray area because I love EVE-NG, and PNetLab is EVE-NG. It's like it's the same thing. It's just kind of like published by somebody else, and they I don't know. I've seen a few guys that put their labs and stuff on PNetLab, but it's not for me. I will continue using EVE-NG. The community edition is totally free, or you can get the professional license. But if you get a professional license, I highly recommend getting that during the end of November with Black Friday. It's silly, but typically let's say there's a special, a deal, where you get a good discount on Eve on the professional license, like 50% or something. It's really good. And they also give you like an extended license, like 1.5 years or something. So that's how I've been getting my pro licenses. I wait for Black Friday and then I'll purchase a license, but it's still quite costly. I mean, I think the standard, let's go to EVE-NG, eve-ng.net. I just want to look at the pricing quickly. So if we were to buy it right now, this very second, just professional, it might have the currency in my currency, but South African Rand. Let's put this on USD. Does it have the price? All right, so that is in my currency at the moment. So that's like quite a bit of money. So USD to ZAR. So it's like over 100 something dollars if I convert in my own currency, which is a lot of money, for me at least. I mean, if I'm spending that money, that's like a decent amount of like cash, to be honest. So now it makes sense to kind of wait for the Black Friday special where it's half price and you get an extended license. This is still installing. But I actually think this is our updates being done now. So in theory, our setup is finished. As soon as this is done, like we will have all the updated packages. So it's the same as doing that like app update and app upgrade. So we're just waiting for the updates to finish there. But back to the Eve topic. I mean, upgrading is pretty straightforward, but it can be pricey, especially if you're just a normal standalone user. But if you can maybe squeeze your company, I mean, and you tell them, hey guys, you know, there's an amazing tool that we can use to learn from, then I mean, there's a good chance they might just sponsor you the license, like you. GNS3 versus EVE-NG. I've done the comparison before, and I have done a lot of labbing on GNS3. It was actually my preferred labbing software for a good 3 years or so. But what I kept finding was with GNS3, whenever a new version of VMware Workstation came out, I'd have to install that, and then there'd be some compatibility issues with the GNS3 client with my server, and then I need to do some stuff with VIX, and I need to change some stuff in a notepad. And I mean, for me, it's not fun if I have to if I'm doing an update, and you expect things to work better if you're doing an update. Oh man, thanks thanks so much for the the contribution to the channel. I appreciate it. But again, if I'm upgrading or updating a software version, I expect my life to be easier, not harder. And I was finding it was getting more difficult whenever I did upgrades with GNS3. That was just how it was. I think I've installed GNS3 either earlier this year sometime or very late last year, just to do another bit of comparison, because I know that GNS3 has brought out a clientless connection via your browser, just like Eve, this setup here, where you get your nodes and you bring them in via the web page like this. They're doing that on GNS3 now, I believe, but I haven't actually labbed that myself yet. So I might install another Eve, or not Eve, GNS3 VM, and just see what it's like now. If it is decent now, and I don't need to use the client, to import my stuff. And because what I always liked about GNS3 was the simplicity with importing nodes. Not that it's difficult on EVE-NG. I mean, all that you're doing is you're following the how-to. You're basically bringing that image into EVE-NG, and then you just change the name to virtua.qcow2 or whatever. And that's usually what it's like to just import an image into Eve, which is straightforward. But I mean, there's a little bit of command line and a little bit of extra manual work involved with that. Whereas with GNS3, you go into the client, you say, hey, I want to import a MikroTik. And if they've updated the versions and stuff, you can get the latest MikroTik version. You can download it directly through GNS3, which was always nice. Or you can just find the image path on your actual computer and just upload it from there and install. So that was always nice about GNS3. But yeah, it's just since I've moved to Eve and I've got the professional license for it, it's kind of been my go-to emulator. Sorry about the dog barking. Let me quickly go onto the GNS3 website as well. GNS3. I just want to see if there's anything as spectacular or something that's gonna wow me. I mean, I've always loved their site. It looks really nice, especially this whole background thing. It's been like this for years, where they're showing you, hey, this is how it works, and they're showing you NASA uses it, and you're like, oh man, we're gonna go to space if we use GNS3. But yeah, it's like that. Your virtual network in a suitcase. Oh, that's pretty cool. For optimal performance, download VM for GNS3. That's fine. All right. I'm just curious how well it will work on my VMware player. I might install this as well on a different stream just to see. Hey, our stuff is installed. Let's restart the host and boot it up. Oh, wait, I need to change something quickly. We're going to, because you see it says, please remove the installation medium, then press enter. Let's remove the installation medium. So if I do an ls-la, the cd-rom.iso is still there. So let's just remove that rm-rf. Just gonna remove cd-rom.iso. So now the only image that's here is the actual hard disk, or it's not really a hard disk, but the virtual drive for this Linux host. Now I'll hit enter, and now it will boot off of that drive instead of the CD-ROM, which is what we want. So now we've got an Ubuntu host that we can actually do a bunch of cool stuff with, which we will use in other labs, especially if because now we can connect this host to a switch, and we can connect the switch to a router, and the router can go to the net, and we can do all kinds of cool, crazy, fun things just using that. I might just quickly change a few things. Hang on. Let's just follow the prompts. I'm not going to log on with anything on here. Next. Location servers. I'm not gonna give them my location. You can use software to install apps like this. So definitely we're gonna install Visual Studio Code. I wonder if we can find Ansible through here. That'd be pretty cool. Anyways, let's go. Done. All right, so Ubuntu is installed. So I can look at my apps quickly, and then from here, I just want to go into my settings. Oh, and I want to bring my terminal into my favorites. So let's just add it to the favorites, just so that we can easily access that. I might remove stuff like this Thunderbird, because I'm not going to use that. What is that? Looks like sound. Remove that. I'm not going to use LibreOffice much. Let's just see what the software updater is saying. It's got some more updates. Doesn't seem like anything major. Let's do the install so long. That can happen in the background. We made that TMB shift 123 authenticate. Yeah, you're just in time. We just installed the Eve host, so now we've got a working host that we can do all the stuff from. But as when I started the stream up, I've actually tested the host, and I get the same type of thing if I install Ansible on a fresh Linux host. It's just, let me see, does it think Ansible is here already or not? So Ansible is not installed, that's a fact. So what I might do is sudo, this I dislike sometimes, using that HTML browser thingy. Oh, come now. If I maximize, it's doing that as well. All right, let's not do anything. So what I might do is sudo apt install. It's doing it again. Sudo apt install pip tmb123 tmb shift 123 sudo apt get install pip. Alright, so it's not going to do that because of the updates we're running in the background. Let's just see how long this will be. I'm hoping not too long. I mean, these are like very small things. It's literally just installing what I could see, Firefox and Office Libre updates. But I don't want to cancel it now mid install either. While that's running, let's open up a browser. I'm curious about the speeds that we're getting. Oh, and I also want to change the settings just to make the display a bit better. So let's do 1920 by 1080. So 1080p. Let's apply. Keep changes. Let's maximize our session, because this looks cool now. And then I can just jump back to Firefox quickly. Speedtest.net. Let's quickly run this. Alright, that looks pretty good. Not amazing, but pretty good speed. From the VM environment, at least. Right. Oh, that looks pretty good. Let's close that speed test. I can close the settings. So I'm really just waiting now. And now YouTube's complaining, hey, we're picking up, there's not enough video to maintain smooth streaming, but it's because of that speed test that we were running. Don't worry, YouTube, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do a speed test. But I like that about streaming on YouTube. It at least gives you an indication of how good the stream's performing. If it's actually like laggy, or if it doesn't pick up any sound or anything, like YouTube lets you know. It's like on you immediately, telling you, hey, something's not looking good here. All right, let's get back to the stream settings. All right. Man, I don't want to wait forever for these updates either, but I don't want to cancel them halfway through. Okay, while that's happening, let's just go back to Ansible. Or actually, let's go back to the GNS3 stuff. Let's just minimize that again. I just want to see if there's any. But this is also something that I kind of liked. To an extent, I mean, you could potentially use MPLS to avoid route reflectors, but you're still typically going to need a route reflector or a pair of them if you're running certain like services via BGP at least. In my opinion, you're still going to have route reflectors, but you don't need to have like everything like route reflecting, or you don't need to have a full mesh either. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. GNS3. Oh, I find this funny. They don't even mention EVNG here. They just talk about Packet Tracer, Cisco Viral, and then this is basically the same thing. Packet Tracer is just like the free version, and it's very limited into what you can do. Viral is okay, I guess. I've played around with viral images. I haven't actually worked on viral itself, but the viral images are pretty good. Physical equipment, others. So this is where EVNG would be. So I always thought like EVNG and GNS3 were like the biggest competitors with each other, but and I mean I've seen some videos of the GNS3 creators, but I've seen the one guy with David Bombal, and I mean he's a pretty solid guy. I mean, talking about David, there we go. Yeah, and they are actively working on making GNS3 like really good, and it is good. There's nothing wrong with it. If you use GNS3, continue using it. Like some of the features that I liked on EVNG is like this stuff with the labels. If you put on the automatic labels on GNS3, it sometimes looks very weird and funky, and everything just looks so clean on Eve. I don't know, like that looks really nice. And what I like about EVNG Pro is like this stuff, like obviously like the quality settings that you can change on the links, but you can make your labs look really nice. Like you can do stuff like this brassiere thing with the line, and you can make the line look really cool, or you can make like a flowchart line, and you can really make your topology look how you want it to. You could even use the topologies in EVNG as a I'd say solution design for a customer. You can design the solution on Eve, check that it works, and then show them, here's the solution design. If you wanted to, you could even share this stuff with them and they could see how it works, but it usually doesn't get that far with customers. Usually they just want a pretty picture that shows them here is a router connecting to a cloud, giving you whatever services. Like that's typically what a customer is interested in seeing. All right. Come on, Firefox. You're not such a big thing. Why do I get the feeling the LibreOffice is going to install next, and that's going to take just as long? Man. But there's definitely stuff in here that we want to update. I don't even know why the thing said it was doing these updates while it was installing. I'm not going to download GNS3 just yet. We can do that in a different time. Versions of GNS3. I think what I also kind of liked of GNS3 was I think they had like this GNS3 school type of thing, not the community, but it's like a place that you could like. It's weird for me that you buy labs, because I think that's the thing on PNet labs as well. I personally don't like that too much. I mean, if it's a really good lab, then yes, sure. But if it's just like something simple and straightforward, I really think like that stuff should be just made free, like by default. Like this type of stuff, like private VLAN, you know, like VPC plus LACP plus inter VLAN. So if you're not aware, like VPC is kind of like Cisco's equivalent of, I don't want to say stacking, but multi-chassis link aggregation. That's the good word for it. Juniper uses that MC lag. So effectively a VPC allows you to have two physical appliances or devices, and they could kind of like work as if they were one device. Like both ports could forward over the LACP trunk to like a server, and the server would work just fine. It would forward to both different switches, and it wouldn't cause anything like a loop, and the port wouldn't be like in a shutdown state like with STP. It would like work as a trunk, and that's like really cool because it allows you to have that hardware redundancy. If a switch dies, then the other switch can just take over and nothing happens to your traffic, because that's like the biggest issue for a lot of smaller ISPs. They're locked down to having a single switch or whatever. I wouldn't say a single switch, but let's say they have a switch where services come into. Maybe all of their interconnects come in on a specific switch, and if that switch dies, you know, there's issues. And they'll do that a lot with their server infrastructure as well. They'll have like a decent switch, but it's a single switch. And then on the switch, it'll be LACP trunks to the server. And then if the switch dies, your servers are inaccessible and your customers are losing their minds. They're like going on, what's happening? The network's down, nothing's working. And if you had the technology like multi-chassis link aggregation, then it's not an issue at all, which is why we as network engineers need to try and design networks that are resilient, that can adapt from change, from issues like that. So that's why I recommend, if you look at new hardware, try and find hardware that is multi-chassis. MikroTik is not, unfortunately, and I love MikroTik. And I made that video on the channel about HA setup, which somebody, I think Nathan One was the guy, made a script on MikroTik where the routers kind of work like high availability, which is not the same as MC lag, but it's still at least better than nothing, where if one router dies, the other router takes over. But I've had that script bite me in production environment before, so I've stopped using the script, and now I'm just using like VRRP for routers. But it's a tedious process to, update all the configs between VRRP routers. I mean, there to an extent you can script certain things to also just be sent to, let's say, between your A and B router or your primary and secondary router. But there's always going to be an element of manual intervention and having to make sure that everything is actually working with the VRRP, and you'll have to schedule stuff like failover testing just to make sure that the solution works if in the event of a failure, because maybe something fails and the VRRP doesn't kick in properly, and you're also having a big issue. So that's something I would love MikroTik to bring out, is like proper high availability or multi-chassis. I think, no, that wasn't, I didn't see them bring out anything for multi-chassis. I saw them bring out, wait, I actually think I did see something on their switching environment on the latest beta build on version 7. I think Kevin Myers, the Stub Area 51 guy, he's really very, very smart, and I've looked at his blog a few times, and he knows this stuff. He saw it on, I think it's beta build 6, MikroTik router OS version 7. Where can we find that change log? I know there's a nice change log somewhere. It's definitely not on the forum that I'm thinking about. Beta, I think 6. There we go. What's new in 7.1 beta 6? Added MLAG support for CRS devices. So still not quite what I want. I'd like this for like routers as well, but that's pretty good actually. It's really nice that they've started putting this in. I mean, really cool. I'd like to test it out. I wonder if I can test it out on Eve. Sorry, I'm talking to myself like a madman. What else do they have here? Added support for Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt is pretty cool. I don't know if you guys are aware of what Let's Encrypt is. I'm sure a few of you are, at least. I haven't used Let's Encrypt myself yet, but it's the poor man's version of getting a SSL certificate. As far as I'm aware, it's completely free, that you get the encrypted certificate with for your domain. And I mean, that's really nice. You don't need to pay like somebody like GoDaddy or whoever for an SSL certificate. Like on my blog, I'm using an SSL cert that I pay for every year, and I barely update my blog anymore, and it feels like such a waste. Even the hosting costs on that blog is annoying, but I keep it up because some people still find the resources on there valuable, and also I'm too lazy to change my email address, because the domain that I've registered with them, I've also got like some special with the Office 365. So it's more or less just to keep my email address, even though I can drop the hosting. It's just I'm leaving it up. Layer 3 hardware support, ported features, and we might lab this actually, but I haven't got any CRS. I don't use MikroTik for switching at all. I think the one time that I wanted to stream like switching on a bridge level for MikroTik, it wasn't a very nice stream either, because I didn't really like how the VLAN tagging and stuff was working. For me, it should be pretty straightforward. It should just be put it on the port. If you put it on the port, it's tagged on that port. If you don't have it on the port, it's not there. What makes sense for me is when you like assign the private VLAN ID, the PVID, that you can say this port actually is untagged on VLAN whatever, so that the other switch or whatever it connects to understands. There's Normus. He's a very nice guy. I haven't worked with him personally. I think in a stream I mentioned this as well. Like I've said hello to him in person at a mum in South Africa, and that was about it. But very knowledgeable guy, very friendly. IPA net engineer. So this is IP Architects, which is Kevin Myers. I don't want to say his business, but that's his deal. All right, this is so far and so close at the same time. The cool thing is we got the host working. The uncool thing is we're just waiting for these updates. So apologies for people that don't like that, but again, I said in the last stream, we'll do the host from beginning to end so that we have a host that belongs to us. Which we do now, which is nice, because, man, I don't want to disturb anything now. And I can't load Wine. I want to install Wine as well so that we could also connect on Winbox to a MikroTik router. Let's quickly get that MikroTik router on, because I'm going to need connectivity to the MikroTik anyways when we start using Ansible. Oh, right. I don't know why this MikroTik doesn't like this guacamole thing for Eve. I've noticed that. That doesn't look good. I'm gonna have to stop the node and start it up again. I've picked that up a few times, but it's Eve says it's more of a MikroTik thing, and I'm inclined to believe them. I mean, all the other nodes work fine with guacamole. It's just MikroTik kind of like spazzes out a bit. Can I log in? Are you gonna? There we go. That looks normal. But now my issue is here. If I hit enter, it doesn't do anything. So to fix that, I need to close the box and open it up again. And now it works. Which is why I tend to use the default stuff when I log into Eve, the native console. But I found that when I did the Linux install or the Linux install, that when I went into the image, the VNC wouldn't launch, and I couldn't RDP to the box because it doesn't support RDP. So that's why I'm using this HTML console. No worries, no worries. Welcome. It's good. Welcome. You're never late. It's a stream and it is a video, so you can always rewind or watch later. That's the nice thing. Oh, wait. It's going to complain because I've already connected onto that server on here. But now I need to close that as well. There we go. No, man, this is frustration. All right. So let's just quickly see from here. Can I ping that MikroTik? It should have gotten an IP address from DHCP, IP address print 133. It's the same IP we had as the last lab, which is fine, as expected. So let's ping 192.168.74.133. Awesome, we can get to the MikroTik. Let's see, can I open it up the webfig? I hate webfig personally. It's not a nice thing to set stuff up, but yes, we can access the router on webfig. So this is the poor man's Winbox. But we'll install Wine and then actually like access this through there. What I want to do so long though is just SSH onto that node so that we can get its key 74.133. We just want this fingerprint. We're gonna say yes. All right, hang on. I'm just gonna log in as admin at, and there we go. That was wrong. I didn't have my @ sign there. Why is this freaking out? SSH admin. It's because I've got this British keyboard scheme, isn't it? Can I change that? Let's just quickly see where I can change it. Keyboard. Region and language. Let's just update this to the input. I'm just gonna change it. How do I change it? I just hit the plus here, make this United States, English, add. Gonna make that up, delete the old one, close that, and then now I can make an ad. Amazing. 74,133. The more you know. All right, so we can SSH onto the MikroTik, and it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I like this. From the MikroTik, we should have internet out, so everything looks good. Like for the beginning of this lab, when we actually get Ansible and stuff working, I just want to check the updater is still fairly busy. Linux firmware. While that happens, let's just maybe head into Eve. I'm just going to close the lab. Actually, I'm not going to end the lab. Let's reopen it. I mean, the lab's still running. Eve didn't like close it or anything. It's still there. It's still doing its thing. I kind of just wanted to open up another lab so that we can maybe fiddle around with a few other things while we wait for the setup to finish or the updates to finish. But let's just do it in this lab quickly. Let's just add a couple of nodes. I'll add some more MikroTiks. And I've got version beta 6 there. But I'll use version 6.48 since I just want to lab a few normal things and I don't want my lab to get confused about things. Let's just give them all 12 different net ports. Let's add like 3 routers, maybe 4. Let's add them up here. So that will be our MikroTik that will get to this little MikroTik lab. And then from this MikroTik lab, let's have a few connections to 2 other routers. And then from those 2 routers, actually, let's put them like this. That will make a little bit more sense. Hey, Bogdan, we're just installing a Linux host on Eve, but we're just waiting for the updates to finish now. But this was if you want to, you can watch the video from scratch. But it's pretty straightforward. We installed Ubuntu 21.04, and there's the host. It's working. And like I explained, it's going to be awesome because we're going to use that host like an actual just machine for like future labs as well, where we can test stuff like internet connectivity and see how it actually impacts the network. Pretty cool. All right, let's add these 2 MikroTiks to my top MikroTik that's already got internet access. And then those 2 MikroTiks will connect to 2 other MikroTiks. So ETH1, ETH2. All right, that looks goodish. And let's just start up those other MikroTiks. And then what I might do is let's just add some text, figure out some IP addressing that we want to use, maybe like 10.000/30. Make that bold. Actually, let's do this thing that people like to see. Let's make a fold-in box and just color the text white, and then that looks pretty cool. So let's just add these addressing to our routers quickly. I might make this 10.1. Duplicate that quickly. Duplicate that. And we're just kind of, again, doing this so that we've got something to do while we wait for the updates to finish. Because otherwise, the stream's going to be pretty boring. And you guys are just going to sit here, watch me look at a screen waiting for updates, which isn't that fun. 172.16.0.0. And let's also add the good old... Actually, let's make this a /29. Because we're gonna test something else out, which I'm just thinking about in my head. Yes, Bogdan, you can do this on Community Edition. This Linux host that I've imported, you can. This is why I've imported this. This is so that you, because a nice thing with EVE-NG is you get with Professional, you get the Docker, and the Docker is already like its own server. It's got so much stuff baked into it that you can just start learning and automating and whatever with. But if you don't have a Docker, then you're going to have to install the Eve host. So you can also install one of these pre-configured images for Eve. It's literally, you just go to a mega download share to download the image, and then you can just import it, like follow these directions. But what we're doing is, if you scroll down, there's how to create own custom Linux image. So this isn't like pre-configured with Eve's stuff. This is your own virtual Linux host that you bring up. And we've installed it. It's running. It's working perfectly. So this is our Linux host. And this is a great way for people that aren't comfortable with Linux, like myself, to get used to it, bring it up. Because I'll be honest, I've worked a lot with Linux in the past, but when I say the past, I'm talking about like 10 years ago. Like that was when you were like running stuff like Mail Marshal on Linux, and you know, it was a different time. Like, things have changed, but it hasn't changed. But since I don't actively use Linux in my day-to-day, I am out of practice. So great place to just relearn everything, let's maybe give this the address of, I'm not going to backspace everything exactly, so 192.168. Let's make that 55.0/29 as well. The reason I'm doing the /29 is we might put like a switch or something here and then have these two routers act for VRP as well. We're not going to do it right now. We're just going to get all of the connectivity out. Oh, that's nice. Well, maybe you can find another job, and well, I'm not saying go look for another job. I'm just saying maybe you never know what's in the future. You could get back into Linux quite easily, and I see it having a lot of potential. Not potential, but it is actively being used in the community, especially for let's make this .4. I like the .4 for some reason. But on like the AWS and the Azures and that well, I'm not going to say Azure because it's Microsoft and they're probably going to push Windows operating systems to you. But as far as I'm aware, you can run Linux on Azure. But I'm also a complete cloud platform noob. I don't do anything on cloud platforms. I don't have anything on Azure. I'd actually love to get my hands on some stuff based in Azure because, quite funnily, I've had some of their, I don't want to say engineers, but some people that work at Azure ask me questions about how can they do this from Azure to a MikroTik. And I honestly don't know. I don't create stuff from Azure onto MikroTik. And it's basically just for like tunneling and stuff, like just setting up an IPsec. But I mean, from a previous lab, you guys saw how easy it is for me to set up IPsec tunnel between MikroTik and Fortinet. It should be similar to Azure, but it depends on how the connectivity, or not Azure, AWS. But yeah, I want to play around on AWS. I want to play around on Azure. I want to play around on Google Cloud. I mean, you've seen people be like, hey, this is how you can run Eve on Google Cloud. And I find stuff like that pretty cool, because I do think cloud-based networking will play a huge role in the future. It already is, especially now these days because of digital transformation and everybody needing to kind of work remotely, and the need for physical hardware is just being diminished every day a lot. But I think hybrid environments are good. It is good to have some extent physical equipment in offices. You don't have to like have a full server farm, but maybe there's some things that you could like run in a hybrid fashion on Azure and on site, on prem. I think they like to use that word. And then let's say Azure is, or AWS, it doesn't matter who it is where you mainly connect all your stuff to. And then if that drops, then your on-prem stuff can just like take over. Oh, that's really nice, Bogdan. Like I really want to play around on AWS. And it's because I've seen there is a job market on AWS for network engineers. There's even, I think, a new, I don't know if it was Azure or AWS, but certification that came out for network engineers. And it seemed pretty relevant. And like I said, I've seen job openings for AWS. They're actively like looking for people to work for them. So be on the lookout for them if you are Linux comfortable and you're decent at networking. I do think there are places to go from there, and it's big. I mean, it's strange for me that AWS is as big as it is, but I think it's as big as it is because of, you know, where it comes from. It is Amazon, and Amazon is a monster in infrastructure, at least. Like, they've got so much cash that they can just throw. I mean, those guys, they throw millions of dollars into making an MMORPG, and they don't make games, but they just made it for, you know, because they had the money for it. And with the money, they have the infrastructure. I don't remember what the game is called now. It looks like some type of like colonial type of thing. AWS, I can just search AWS MMO, and we should find it. New World, that was it. And it looks interesting, but I'm not sure if I'll just switch to it. I'm personally more preference to playing my World of Warcraft, especially now with the new patch that's coming out tomorrow. And then I've got some stuff to do with my raiding team again, which I'm excited about. All right, let's just get these MikroTiks some IPs and stuff quickly. And again, reason I'm closing these boxes is because this HTML console for some reason doesn't like MikroTik when you log in the first time. So that's an issue between Guacamole and MikroTik. What's this Linux host doing? Still busy installing stuff? That's crazy, Minoff. That is actually crazy. I didn't even know that. Like, and Google, how does Google rank compared to AWS? Because I was pretty sure Google also had monstrous infrastructure. But I know AWS is as big as it is because, again, of Amazon. Like Jeff Bezos, that guy has so much invested everywhere. And it's crazy to see. Let's quickly just configure our IP addresses on our MikroTiks. Maybe give them some names. I didn't change the names there. We can change that. The top one, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5. Okay, that's how we're going to do it. So system identity set name R1. IP address, add address 10.0.0.1 / let's make .1 on each side. The top root router. So /30 on ether 2 and 10.101/30 on ether 3. And I'm not doing any like hardcore routing or anything. This is just to get to these MikroTiks, and then I'll maybe set up a route on this Linux server or desktop, just to say to get to these ranges, go to this MikroTik R1's IP. All right, let's add the IP addresses on R2. Well, let's set the system identity set name R2. IP address add. Oh, hey Jack, sorry, I didn't read your question. Do you know the best way to install MikroTik switch with PoE? All right, unfortunately not, Jack. And the reason is that I don't use MikroTik switches. And it's not that I don't think you shouldn't use them. It's just I've always had the I'd say luxury of using different switches. It's just when decision time comes, there's already HPs or there's Huawei's or Cisco switches already in place, and those are the type of switches that I'm more or less comfortable with working on. Even though I kind of dislike Huawei switches, they work fine. They're good switches. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just again, it's like the PNet thing, you know, like when people are like, and it's the same with HP. I've actually got the same issue with HP. Like you can see that the command structure, the inspiration is it all comes from Cisco's iOS. Like it's I don't want to say that they stole it, but it's clearly inspired by the iOS. It's set up in such a way that the commands kind of work similar. How you go into things works similar. I mean that's why I actually like Juniper, even though I'm not that great at it. Is it reads a lot like programming, and it's its own OS. You can see Junos is Juniper's OS, whereas HP or Huawei or most other vendors, if you look at their OS, it's iOS with a different paint on it. R2 IP address add address 10.0.0.2/30 on ether 1. We're going to add the IP address add 172.16.0.1/29 on ether 2. And system identity set name R3 IP address add address 10.1.0.2/30 interface ether 1, and for ether 2 we're adding the address 192.168.55.1/29. Right, so our IP addresses on these three routers are done. So, did I honestly put this on the wrong MikroTik? Let me just go into this MikroTik 5. Guys, I think I made a huge mistake. I made a huge mistake. IP address. We're going to quickly just add some IP addresses again and set some names. System identity set name R1 IP address add address 10.0.0.1/30 interface ether 2 and 10.0.0.10.1.0.0.1. All right, whoops. And let's just add some routes here quickly. These will just be some static routes. IP route add destination 172.16.0.0/29. To get there, we're going to go to 10.0.0.2, and we'll add a route to 10.1.0.2 to get to 192.168.55.0/29. All right. let's fix up the other routers quickly. So MikroTik 5, this should actually be system identity set name or 2. And IP address set address equals 10.0.0.2/30 on ether 1. And that is on, well, we're not changing anything there. We need to just use the add command. Actually, let's do the set command. We can set, we'll just set the first item. So that IP, well, that IP is now effectively going to change to these details. And then if we do an IP address print, we can do IP address set address equals 172.16.0.1/29 on ether 2, and that is for line item 1. If I do an IP address print, that looks good. And if I do a ping and I ping 10.0.0.1, I get a response. Let's just add a default route out as well. IP route at destination. Our gateway will be 10.0.0.1. And this is just so that we can get to our Linux desktop. That should still be updating. Let's just make sure. Logging back in here. Do I honestly need to close this? Man, this HTML console is a little bit TMB shift 1 2 3. TMB shift 1 2 3. Do I have a caps lock? TMB shift 1 2 3. No. No. All right, that's pretty funky. TNB shift 1 2 3. I already know that that's correct, so I don't know why it's spazzing out now. Maybe let's put the caps lock on. Maybe I had it like this. I don't know. Let's see. No. All right, I might have to restart this. That's right. That's actually right, Bogdan. What was the key on? Let me get the British keyboard layout. This is so scuffed. British keyboard layout. Because we should be able to just derive that quickly here. That doesn't seem right, because I know the British had like the accent for shift 2, not accent, quote marks. Can I change the keyboard binding here or not? No. But that was a good catch, Bogdan. That's definitely the issue. Okay, so it looks like that's the only thing that swaps is so TMB, and let's try that. All right, is there anything else that swaps? That looks about right. Oh, a pound sign. I don't think I've got anything for a pound sign. Let me just Google that. Pound symbol. And I might have to reset this password. Alright, so let's try TMB. Alright, this is going to frustrate me so badly. No. And I can't copy paste across, obviously. Is there... Because I definitely don't have a pound symbol on my keyboard. Is there a key combination I can do? Like an alt combination? Let me just check. I was trying to get a EE client to just web config page using its WAN IP, but couldn't. I can ping. I mean, if you can ping it, you should be able to. If you can ping it, you should at least be able to access the config page. I take it you want to manage the router over its triple PoE IP that it's assigned, but just going into your web browser with it. Is that right? While that's happening, let me see how I can do this. To create pound sign. (0163). Wow. 0163. Hello. 01. No, my alt's not even working. 0. This is going to be annoying if I'm locked out of this machine because I can't paste across. Let's just... So can I paste like this? No. 0163. Am I gonna have to buy a freaking British keyboard? Can I change the accessibility from here or anything? I'm gonna... no. Let's try and access this over a different medium quickly. Instead of this. I wonder if I can... Let's stop the host. This is so crummy. That's a good idea, Jack. I might try that just now. I just want to see, can I change the admin access from VNC? Let's try and telnet to it. See if telnet works. And then from telnet, maybe I can copy commands across. Although I'm doubtful. I don't think it's running a telnet client. Alright, let's stop that. And edit. And change you back to VNC. Save. Start. Let's see if we can do the virtual keyboard, because that should work. That's what I want to do, Bogdan, but since it's the Ubuntu desktop and not server, it's not running any... I haven't installed like any telnet services on this device. Alright, that works. Alright, while that's a thing, we need to change this password quickly, because I don't want to get locked out of here again. Just check where we can do that. I'm really hoping it doesn't ask me for the old password. I should have a users here. Password. Please don't do this to me. Can I copy anything across? What we could try and do potentially is go into our browser on the actual VM and do something like #. And we should be able to copy from here. Let's see if I copy from here, that works. Okay, we might be able to fix this so that we don't have to restart the computer every time. TMB, that's the same. All right, so let's do TMB 1, 2, 3. Oh, why? It's the same thing, but it's fine. Let's do numbers and punctuation. Let's do TMB. Okay. I'm gonna have to write this down somewhere. So let's make it TMB shift 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. TMB shift 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. All right. Awesome. Let's see if I can go into the software updater and see if it's finished everything. I'm pretty sure it has, but maybe it hasn't. Oh, I'm actually looking for the other updater. Sorry. Yeah, somebody can. I don't think I'll. Pounds are way too strong. Like I'd lose all my money if I have to pay somebody else in pounds. Like you guys in the UK, pretty good currency, pretty strong currency. All right, it looks like that's actually still doing some stuff. All right, so while that's happening, let's go back to our topology. Did I close it? Oh no, I've just got this maximized. Okay. Let's just minimize this. And let's check out our routers. All right. System identity set name. This should be R4. Because that's MikroTik 4, which is this bottom one. So IP address set address. That will be 172.16.0.0.4/29 on Ether 1. And I'm just going to hit enter on 0 and I'll remove IP address, remove number 1. So can IP address print, that's all I've got. So can I ping 172.16.0.1? I can, great. So I'll also just do a route IP route add destination 000/0 gateway 172.16.0.1. All right, cool. So this is R3. Have I configured the right addresses here? I have. Perfect. And now system identity set name. This is R5. IP address add address equals 192.168. That address is really bright in this HTML5 console. .4/29 on interface Ether 1. IP route add a destination 000/0. We're not doing anything with the BGP, we're just doing gateway. It's 192.168.55.1. And on this primary MikroTik, I'm just going to do a NAT out. Actually, let's not do the NAT out. I just want to check from this R1, can I ping 172.16.01? Can I ping .4? Yes, okay, cool. So I can get to the bottom MikroTiks as well from R1. So in theory, we can go back to our, you know what? We'll do that later. I really want to just get into the console quickly. Sudo apt-get install pip tmb shift123. Oh, tmb shift123.123. Because now we've got a super long password. So we're just going to install pip, and then with pip we'll install Ansible. Lots of installing with a new host, but again, this gives us a lot of flexibility. And once everything is up and running, it will be up and running for a good while. Like probably forever. Or until my PC breaks again. Alright, let's check on the host. Can I maybe open up another tab or window? And let's just add a route out as well. So route add, let's say to 10.0.0.0. I think it's netmask 255.255.255.252. And then we can specify the gateway as 192.168.74.133. Oh, I need to install NetTools. Man, there's so much extra stuff we need to install. I should have gone for Ubuntu server, but then we wouldn't have this cool looking desktop. So the best thing that I can do while we wait is put up a cool wallpaper. So let's find a wallpaper to put up. What would be cool? I mean, I like Neon Genesis Evangelion, so let's maybe do Nerve background. Nerve pain, that doesn't sound fun at all. Some pretty cool stuff here. And now this thing obviously hangs again. Close the session, open it up again. All right. Let me just put it in its own window and maximize it. And let's see, is there anything that looks appealing? That looks pretty cool. The device is being super slow at the moment, though. I'm not sure if this is because of the other downloads, or if it's just the screen that's not refreshing properly. It kind of looks like it's both. I was more interested in this. This looks abstract and cool. Lots of ads on here, though. Is there any download for this? Choose resolution and download this wallpaper. Please don't be a spam link. Is there 1080p here? See some pretty other big dimensions. There we go. There's a 1080p. And I'm pretty sure I've got to refresh my HTML browser. All right, let's just close that, open it up again. Where am I? This doesn't look like what I was looking for. All right, that's these sites are a bit too spammy. It's all clickbaity. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. Let's find a better thing. Maybe this. I have no idea what the words mean. It looks like German. Even though, yeah, it looks like German. I'm pretty sure that's German. Let's just save the file. Let's go and change the resolution. Should have probably started with that. Save the image again. Oh, not cancel. Oops. Because I'm pretty sure Windows has this kind of swapped. Alright, cool. Open the containing folder. Make this our wallpaper. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, I dig this. Actually, it's a bit weird. I might have to find something else, but that's fine. Alright, the install is going to take a little bit of time, and then I also just want to install the net tool so I can just add the routes, and then we'll try and run the Ansible install using pip. So pip is just the Python installer application thingy. English. Oh, I could make it an English wallpaper. Let's see. Is there something else? There was a different Nerve background that I used a while ago. There we go. I like this. It seems pretty cool. Seems NASA-y, but it's not NASA, if that makes sense. Where's this taking us? Let's change the size to 1080p. I feel like the screen has frozen again. Oh, right, that's the right resolution. But I'm pretty sure the screen's frozen. Let's just do this. And download wallpaper. Please don't try and... no, I'm not gonna sign up for a wallpaper that I know is free. No, but it's more like a logo. Nah, that's Pinterest. Wow, there's some pretty cool stuff there though. Let's try this. On ImageGer, I haven't seen that in a while. What's this dimensions? Does it show? Let's just save the image. And then we can use that as a background. Let's see. That might look a bit nicer. Less weird, more NASA-like. Set as wallpaper. And I'm pretty sure. Okay, no, now it's not the. Just force quit that. There we go. That looks cool. I like that. Alright, setup is done in a minute for pip, and then we can continue with Ansible. And then we can do Visual Studio Code as well. But I do want to just install the net tools quickly so that we can just add those routes and see if we can access or get to those other MikroTiks. And I want to install Wine. There's so much stuff that we want to install, guys. and just get to all of the devices and manage them and play around and have a good time. But I am seriously looking forward to tomorrow when the new World of Warcraft patch comes out. And also recently, me and my fiance started playing Final Fantasy 14 online. I mean, I barely have time to actually commit. The time that I put into WoW, it's like 2 nights, which are Wednesday evenings and Sunday evenings, and it's like just to raid, you know. It's like 6 hours a week that I have my let's call it my break time, my me time, and then the rest it's either doing this content or making the MikroTik guides and whatnot, or working ultimately, because at the end of the day I am working for a company, and it takes a bit of you know, let's say juggling skills, especially if you're managing like an ISP network. There's so much stuff happening, and it's never ending. It's always like a wave of, hey, we want to do this, we want to put this in, well, how do we do this? Because at this point it's like being you're the solutions architect, you're the head of the network, you're the network engineer, you're the desktop support, you're everything. Like you do end-to-end communication, you just fix. But it has its perks, and it is a big learning curve, I'd say. Like it's interesting to see. Let's not forget about that. The baby is actually the most important part, to be honest. For me, I'll say family comes first, and I think most people feel the same way, because we gotta look after our family. We need to look after each other, actually, like all humans. But family is definitely, I think, a top priority, especially the baby. Like as a father, for anybody that's maybe a father, I'm sure you guys can relate. Like the first time you held your baby, like you get such a rush of emotion. It's crazy. It's amazing, and nothing like lights me up, like makes me happy more than seeing my baby smile. You know, like when he's happy, like you'll maybe be changing. It's so silly. I'll change his diaper, and then because while I'm changing his diaper, I'll make him like a funny face, and he'll like laugh at me, and it's so cute, man. And you know, that's what you need to protect at the end of the day. You need to make sure that your family is taken care of and looked after, because you want to make sure they have a good life at least. But now I'm getting a bit I don't know, almost like sentimental. You know, I love talking about my family, but I also don't want to make them like the main focus of the stream, at least. But in life, when we shut down the stream, like it's gonna be so good, because I'm gonna go to bed, lie next to my fiance, hold the baby, watch something, and it's the best stuff ever. All right, let's see. Yeah, thanks, man. I am being a father, and I love being a father. I'm so happy that we committed and made this decision, and I'm excited even for the future. Even though it's a little bit off, like distance, like 2 more years, I'd say. But we're already discussing like having a sibling, you know, for our baby, so that he grows up with not just us. Like he can have like a little brother or sister. Hopefully, you know. At least we didn't have much trouble. Like I don't think we actually had any troubles getting the baby. But yeah, I know for some people it's a like a battle almost. Like they need to go to like fertility doctors, and like the world's crazy right now. But I would love having another kid, and you know, kind of like have the same type of upbringing. Not exactly the same as me, because I was brought up in a very, I don't want to say strict environment, but it was very it's not Catholic, it's like very strange. It was, you know, the morals I respect, like, you know, be good to each other. Like I feel like that's a human thing. Like look after each other, like stuff like that. But it was also overly strict while I was growing up. So I don't want that for my kid. I want to give the children good moral values, but I also want to make sure that they also don't feel like I'm a like overbearing father or something. Like I'm stern. I want to be stern, but I also don't want to be stern at this. It's a weird thing to explain. I hope I'm making sense. It's just I don't want to like, because I don't want to raise my kid and then he's like very naughty, you know. Like I like it if like, it's cool if a kid's naughty because it gives him a bit of personality, but I don't want him like walking around the street breaking people's windows or something. And man, I don't even know why I'm talking about it, but it's like stuff that kind of I think about it a lot now, because I want to make sure that he's brought up right, but he's not in a bad spot, but he's loved, but he's not like I want to say smothered almost, you know, like I don't want him to be teased because they're like, oh, your parents are always just looking after you and stuff. I also want him to be able to stand on his own feet, but I'll make sure that he has backup. I will be there for the child always. Man. All right, how is this setup going? 48 seconds. I feel like that's a lie. It's been like saying 48 seconds for a while. Unless, please tell me it's not this. And it is this. I dislike this console a little bit. I don't know if it's something that I'm doing weird. I don't think so. I just think like the connection kind of gets confused with this console connection on this HTML5 console, and then the image just doesn't refresh even though stuff is happening, like now. Okay, now it's refreshed. We wanted to do a sudo apt get install, what was it, NetTools, I think. NetTools TMB shift 123 123. Cool, and that should be quick. All right, let's try and add a route quickly. Route add our gateway or our destination is 10.0.0.0 slash, no, we don't do any slashes, we type netmask 255.255.255.252 with the gateway being 192.168.74.133. All right, that didn't make any sense. Let's just see. Route add. Let's try that. All right, but I didn't specify a netmask there. Let's maybe try this. This is a bit funky. 252. All right, here's the actual usage. So we can type inet route add. Let's try 10.0.0.0/30 with the gateway being 192.168.74.133. It doesn't like that. No, man. What are we doing incorrectly here? Let's do a route. Minus VF add 10.0.0.0/30 with the gateway 192.168.74.133. Okay, that it doesn't like. And our subnet's definitely correct. Hang on, I just want to start up some music again. Just want to check on our settings on the system. On the network here, is there anything I can do from here? Wired. Okay, seems interesting. 0.0.0/255.255.255.252 192.168.74.133. Let's quickly see, can I ping 10.0.0.1? That I can't ping. Can I ping 192? I can ping 192.168.74.133. 74.133. Yes. Alright, I just quickly want to run a continuous ping. Actually, I should be able to get to that because that is the local IP on the router, which is the Ether2 interface. Very interesting. Let's quickly just check. Can I do trace? 10.0.0.1. Man, there's so much sudo apt install trace route. But that's pushing it out to my gateway still. Route. Route add 10.0.0.0. /30 with our gateway being 192.168.74.133. We can try to do a sudo. I just don't get why it's complaining about this. I know usually with Linux you just net mask it with what the mask is there, but it doesn't like that. Route. So these are the routes that we currently have. Route add 10.0.0.0. Operation not permitted. Okay, let's just do sudo. Gateway 192.168.74.133. But that's without a mask now. /30. Let's just maybe route the /24. No. Space that. No. It doesn't take that either. Gen mask. What was a gen mask? Like that. And this feels so annoying because this is sudo route add. This is typically like what the command would look like by default. And I know I can add a route. I mean, let's just add this as a /32 now, which is wrong, which is not what we should be doing. Can I ping that now? Ping 10.0.0.1. Now I can ping it. Oh. So this syntax is definitely incorrect that I'm using. Then 0.0.0. Let's try and push /8. Nope, doesn't like that. Let's Google it as well. Add static route Ubuntu desktop 2104. Ah, okay, I see. Which is dumb. Sudo route add -net. Which is not dumb, it's actually correct. Now we're gonna do the IP 10.0.0.0. Now we're gonna do the net mask 255.255.255.252 with the gateway being 192.168.74.133. Doesn't like that either, but that looks a bit more promising. Route add. Oh, I didn't do the route add. There we go. That's better. So if I do a route, now we're actually routing the subnet here, which is good. Okay, let's just delete the other ones. Route. How do I delete route? Is it delete or remove? Route delete. Let's try route delete. Route delete. Let's just sudo that as well. Sudo route delete 10.0.0.0 and 10.0.0.1. Let's check our routes. There we go. Now we've got a route for that /29. Let's add the other routes as well. So it was 10.1.0.0. 172 was it 16.0.0 /29, I think. Let's just look at our topology. Yes, it is. And then 192.168.55. 192.168.55.0. Cool. Let's check. Can I ping 192.168.55.1? No. All right. Let's quickly check. Can I ping 10.0.0.2? That I can ping, which is router 2. Let's do a SSH admin at 10.0.0.2. Get that key as well. IP route print. IP neighbor print. Telnet. System telnet 172.16.0.4. This we can make. It's admin. Can I ping 192.168.74 dot? Oh wait, I haven't even checked what is my IP on my 137. Okay, so I can ping that, and that I can ping from router 4. Which is 172.16.0.4. All right, so I've actually got an issue with the 192.168.50 network. 855.1. So let's just quickly check that out. It should be on this router. So IP address print. Ping 192.168.55.1. Okay, that's fine. IP route print. Alright, I don't have a default route out here, so IP route add. Destination is default. Gateway is 10.1.0.1. Let's quickly check. Can I ping now? There we go. Nice. So now I should be able to SSH admin at 192.168.55.4. Yes. Quit, and we're going to do the same for .1 so we can get that key. Yes. Quit, and we're going to do the same for 172.16.10.4. Grab that key as well, or fingerprint. There we go. So now we got fingerprints to all the routers. Good. All right, next step. Yeah. Thanks, Thomas. All right, next step is for us to either install Ansible or Wine, but let's install Ansible. I think I've installed pip, so let's do a sudo pip install Ansible. So this is busy downloading Ansible for us. Oh, and I recall us having issues installing Video Studio Code on the last stream, but that was also because of the system not being updated. Once we updated it, it worked fine on the Eve imported VM. All right, come on, Ansible. All right, we're just waiting for this. Also just seeing if we pick up any errors. So there's Ansible, Ansible core. Requirement already satisfied. That's a Python 3 reference. Did I sudo the, yeah, I did sudo the pip install. Okay, good. Yeah, Ansible is usually pretty quick to install though. It's not a like massive installation. Can't install mark safe. No files were found to uninstall. Alright, but this is pip just trying to do pip things. Alright, let's check Ansible version. Is it installed? Ansible is installed, guys. And this is running Ansible Core 2.11.2, which is again a different version. Fantastic. Okay, with that installed, let's just quickly go to the Ubuntu software and pick up Visual Studio Code here. Visual Studio Code. And there we can see some programs have updates, but that is, you know, expected since we didn't finish the updates earlier. Let's close this and open it up again. But on the good news, or the good part is, this little network can get to our little Ansible server. Alright, let's install Visual Studio Code at TMB shift 123 I really need to write that down. I get a feeling I'm going to TMB. I'm gonna forget or something. I shouldn't. It's actually a relatively easy password. Proprietary 217. Must I click install again? Alright. Alright, it's busy with something. Which might be linked to the updates we still need to finish. Let me just open the updater again. Alright, so while that is happening in the background, I'm gonna do the install anyways. While that's happening, I just want to create a like folder structure almost for Ansible, because from what I understand is it is preferable for each project to have its own folder structure and Ansible config file with their host inventory file. So we'll treat it as such. All that I'm going to do is sudo, let's make a directory, not make sir, make a directory. Let's call this demo, cd demo. Alright, so from here I'll create a Ansible config file. Let's go onto the Ansible site quickly and just grab that example config that I got from Git. Actually, I've still got a notepad with it. Yes. So I'm just going to copy all. And I should just be able to sudo nano ansible.cfg. Paste like that. I'm pasting a pound. Ansible .cfg example. So here we've got an example file in GitHub. I'll just copy this all. Yeah, there's actually a smarter way to do this. Can I select all from here? No. I should just be able to grab it. Right? Why do I feel like I'm being an idiot. No. I don't want to do that. We go roll. Let's just grab this all. And then of course this browser copy GitHub. There we go. Let's paste this in here. Save that. Let's just cat ansible.cfg. And let's do an Ansible version in this directory. So there it references my config file as home / the network Berg / demo, and then the Ansible config file is in there. Okay, that's good. That's good enough. We can actually work with this. So all that we'll do is we'll create another file in here for our hosts. And this is just an inventory list for us. So I might call this MikroTiks, and then I can give that, I can just put in the IPs if I want to, so 192.168.74.133, or I could give it a name, maybe like R2, and I think the code is almost like Ansible _host. But I don't recall if it's a equals or if it's like that. Let's just try that for now. So this is just so that when Ansible runs it, you could reference like R2 in your playbook, and then R2 would just be associated with 192.168.74. Or not that, it'll be 10.0.0.2. But I just want to make sure I've got the wording correctly on that. So it's Ansible _host. Build your inventory. Sorry, I don't want to like hide it from you guys. Yeah, it's Ansible _host. There we go. Colon space. Alright, so I did have it right. So I could also just make R3 Ansible _host. 10.1.0.2 R4 Ansible _host. We can make that 172.16.04, and R5 is Ansible _host 192.168.55.4. I didn't sudo this. Let's just copy this all. No. So let's just sudo that quickly. And I didn't copy that. Man, that's unfortunate. No. Okay, so we'll just do that again. Call this MikroTiks. No. MikroTiks, big T there. I'll do all of them as Ansible _host 192.168.74.133 Ansible host 10.0.0.2. Let's just add the R1, R2, R3, Ansible host 10 1.0.2 R4, Ansible host 172.16.04, and R5, Ansible host 192.168.55.4. Save that. There we go. Hosts. Cat hosts. MikroTiks. All right, cool. So it is referencing that. So I'm wondering if anything actually works at the moment. I get a good feeling it won't, because there's probably some backend stuff on Ansible that we still need to fix in that config file, because like I said, that config file is just it's all hashed out basically. If I cat ansible.cfg, everything's got this hash in front of it, which is effectively just meaning it's hashed out, right? So I have to look at some working config, but at least if I do the Ansible version, it is referencing the config file now. And with that, we should be able to do some tests to the hosts. I just want to see if we can do any type of test to any of the hosts with Ansible at least. Ansible. Right, we will create a SSH keygen as well. All right, let's just quickly nano something in the config file. So ansible.cfg. And then in the defaults, I'm just going to remove this hash. So we're going to make the inventory, and we're just going to update this inventory so that it references my inventory, which should be, all right, but it's not just demo. Let's just write that. Next. That's the directory we're going to use in there. And I don't even know why I did a Control C. It doesn't do anything. So this will be our directory. It didn't like what I did there. No. All right, hang on. Sudo Ansible. Yes. All right. Did I not copy the directory correctly? Let's just exit. No, we're not saving. This, it's just home the network Berg, so it's nothing like fancy. So let's do home the network Berg demo. All right. So now the Ansible config file knows about our hosts file as being its inventory. So I should be able to do some type of ping actually. Let me just quickly check if I can ping. I know Ansible has this ping command we can use. Ansible, let's check all -m ping. This I'm just seeing on a blog. Host with YAML plugin. We're unable to read either as JSON nor YAML. It's just actually referencing that host. I think there's still some config that's hashed out in my Ansible config file that needs to be unhashed. So I actually need to go through that and see how we can change that. But at least it is referencing the stuff that we put in the inventory file. I mean, else it wouldn't be saying, like it's trying to connect to that, but it's like freaking out about the plugins and yeah. All right. I'll have to do a little bit more research with that. Let's stop maximizing the screen. Let me just see. All right, let's do the restart. But that restart's not like going to fix the issue that we're having. I could try and unhash all of the Ansible config stuff and see if that makes a difference. That's also a bit of work, isn't it? Open up a new terminal, see if we can... Oh, this is interesting. So right here, because I'm in this directory, if I do an Ansible version here, there's no config file that it can reference because it sees that there's nothing in this directory. But if I change the directory to demo, all right, did I demo? All right, there we go. If I do the same command here now, and look at the version, it references the config file. So that is definitely something we want. Sudo nano ansible. Let's try and run the ping again, but I'm pretty sure it'll fail still. Yeah. I want to just quickly sudo nano. Hang on. I want to delete all of the other stuff as well. So rm -rf ansible.cfg.save .1 sudo, because I don't want those extra files there, which nano created. tmb shift 123 123. All right. And then we've got a hosts.save and nano.save. And nano.save.1. So all that I want is ansible.cfg and hosts. Maybe I won't use nano. I might just use, can I vim? What's Vim tiny? Hosts. No, man. Quit. Okay, that looks fine. Quit. I want to Ansible.cfg and then inner Ansible.cfg. Let's unhash a bunch of stuff. Oh man, this I should actually be doing with Visual Studio Code, to be honest. Let's actually save this quickly. Right, quit. I think it's because I didn't sudo. That's fine. That's completely fine. Let's just get Visual Studio Code online. Code. I'm going to use the application Ubuntu software thingy. Let's find Visual Studio Code. So we'll do a search for Visual Studio Code. Alright, it is installed. Nice. Let's just find the thingy so I can put it as a favorite. Let's head into code. Okay, I shouldn't have opened it twice. Browse color themes. Let's make it a nice dark theme. Abyss, that looks cool. That's okay. So what I'd like to do is just open the file. And then from here, if I go into my other locations, home, the network Berg. If I go into demo, I've got my Ansible.cfg here. Let's open this. Nice. Let me just make sure that I can save. Retry sudo tmb. tmb shift 123 123. All right, so we can do that as sudo. Retry sudo tmb. I might just have to change the permissions on this file so that I stop getting asked if I want to sudo it, but that's okay. And then with that, let's see, can I do anything else now? Can I maybe run that ping yet? All right, now I'm getting some pretty cool errors. Lots of errors, but now I'm not even getting an error about the plugin. There's definitely stuff with this config file I need to update. Alright, I'm gonna have to do a bit more research into that. So with that, I'm going to call the stream. I think we've at least set out to do what we wanted to do with installing our own Linux host on Eve. We've installed Visual Studio Code on it. We've even made a little strange MikroTik lab, which we'll use once we can actually get Ansible working correctly. We'll use these routers to push configuration from this Ansible server, or it's just a Linux desktop, but it will run Ansible and we'll push config from it to the MikroTiks. It can connect to all of the MikroTiks, so that's already good in our favor. Man, I wanted to install Wine as well, but we can do that in the next stream. All that Wine does, it allows us to run Winbox on the Ubuntu desktop. But thanks for everybody that's been watching. Again, this is not like the other streams where I'm teaching people or showing people how to do stuff like on Router OS or MikroTik or whatever. This is a, let's say, a self-study stream where I'm also learning while we're streaming. So there are issues, there are mistakes. This is, don't act like I'm not here acting like I'm an Ansible pro, showing you how all this stuff works. I'm a noob. I'm learning this stuff again, and we'll figure it out and we'll start automating things, especially on MikroTik. I know MikroTik is pretty straightforward with the automation. Anyways, I'd like to thank everybody again for watching, and I'll catch you guys in next week's stream, or maybe I'll upload some other videos in the meantime, but I'm pretty sure we'll see each other in the next stream. So have a good evening and enjoy yourselves. Thanks for watching.